Good morning, rinpoche.
Hello. Hi. Good morning, Mr. Hong. Yeah. Am I
Yeah,
audible? Voice okay?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sangye jedan tsoye chonam la chanjo bardo dane gebzo je daye jinso ge zenam ge ndola benjere san jo bara jo sangye jedan tsoye chonam la chanjo bardo dane gebzo Daye jinso yebe zanam ge ndola benjere zange ndrubara esho. Zange chedan tsoye chanam la chanjo bardo danye gebzo je daye jinso yebe zanam ndola benjere zange ndrubara esho. Sai shimbe ge. Jojimendo Dhammaji Rabbi Shi Nyinde Ange Bande Sangye Shindo Minde Mewai Doi Genam Dai Jin Je Bora Jo Dama Guru Ratna Mendala Kamnirianda Ya Me. So we are covering mm, Master Nagarjuna, Acharya Nagarjuna's letter to a friend. His letter, his his advisorial letter written to King Gautamaputra. Advice on livelihood, advice on worldly living, as well as advices for spiritual living. So the the verse that we read last week was verse number 5, which basically talks about the 10 virtuous deeds. So I think we covered the first two lines of the verse, the stanza, the shloka. So each shloka has 4 lines. So we covered the first two lines, which details the 10 virtuous actions, 10 virtuous deeds. So we covered that last week.
Yeah.
Today we will cover the third line and the fourth line of the fifth verse. Now, let me read it again in Tibetan once more. Gewe lelam chubo lutani ngada hiki tatu tengishin. That's the first two line. Then changnam ledo teshin gewa yi tsowa la yang ngombar geba zo. That is the second, the third and the fourth line. So the third line talks about keeping away from uh, alcohol as well as other forms of intoxicants. And then the fourth line talks about abiding in virtuous livelihood. Okay, so the first and the second line talks about virtuous actions in general, and the fourth line talks about virtuous livelihood. So making a living, whatever livelihood that you are making, make your livelihood in a virtuous way. So the third line talks about, as I said, it talks about abstaining from alcohol and other forms of intoxicants. Uh, so in any intoxicant that will mm, uh, that will blur your judgment. So that will blur your judgment, that will cloud your judgment, sorry, that will cloud your judgment and disable you from making discriminative decisions. So discriminative here means to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. Distinguish, discriminate. So being the ability to do so, that is disabled disarmed through intoxicants. So the reason is that, as I said, it clouds the judgment. So basically, the thing is, one start drinking, and then you start drinking. Okay, one drink doesn't harm anyone. So you said, okay, one is okay. So I start. You maybe one glass is fine. I will have another glass, and then you don't get the tipsiness, the high from drinking just one glass. So you wanted to drink a little bit more to get the right amount of high, and then you start drinking more and more and more, and then before you know it, you are totally drowsy, and then basically you cannot make any judgment. And I mean, of course, that's the reason why if you are driving, then you are not supposed to drink. The reason being, if you are drunk, if you drink anything more than the certain amount, then your discriminative abilities discontinues, cannot walk, cannot function, cease to function properly, and then you end up in accident, car accident, this and that. So therefore, the thing is, it gives you delusion for sure. That's why a lot of people, in order to feel bold enough, to courage up, people drink in order to become more. If you have to face someone or something and you are scared of doing so, you drink a little bit. So then it gets your spirits up, and then you become bold enough to deal with things like that. Which is basically, of course, it's a delusion, You don't think of yourself in a certain way before drinking, but after drinking, you start to think yourself as a person different from what you were before. So basically, it creates an image for you that you desire, which is not necessarily the truth. So therefore, by drinking, so here drinking and any other intoxicant, mean any other substances like drugs, marijuana, anything that sort of that that colludes the mind, anything that makes your mind confused, colludes, clouds. So all these should be abstained, should be refrained. The thing is that it's not restricted for the general public, or not restricted for the Buddhist follower in general to for intoxicant, all these things, right? Alcohol, all this is not restricted. And because it's not restricted, so the king does not have to do it. Okay, king does not have to abstain from alcohol and all this thing. But if you look history, usually you find kings giving too much attention to girls and alcohol, and by doing so, they lose interest in the affairs of the kingdom, and by doing so, the kingdom usually weakens. The kingdom just crumbles. So therefore, as a king, it's his duty to take care of the subject, to take care of the kingdom, everything. And for that, he needs to have a sound mind. And so for that reason, Nagarjuna is advising him to abstain from alcohol. Even though he will, the king will not abstain from alcohol. He will drink for sure, of course. He's a king, and for celebratory purposes, he will drink maybe every evening. But by giving this kind of lecture, so this is not the only time that Nagarjuna lectures him. Actually, there will be a few other lines. There's several other lines where Nagarjuna lectures the king about intoxicant and alcohol, all this thing. The reason is that by reminding him over and over again, so the king will at least decrease his consumption of alcohol and other intoxicants. So that is the main reason. Yeah. Even though it's not restricted for Buddhist, to drink alcohol. Like other religion, like for example, Islam Muslims, they are restricted. They cannot not permitted to drink alcohol. So Buddhism is not like that. But Buddhist masters teachers always emphasize on the dangerous side, the side of the negative side of alcohol all time. Mm. Okay. So maybe in this regard, maybe just share one story. So this is a popular story that most master teachers usually share about the flaws of the drinking problem. So the story goes like this. There was so in ancient India, there was one monk who was approached by a certain girl, very beautiful lady in the village. So when he went for alms begging, so the girl said, "I can offer you." So she sort of gave him this kind of a. She has to choose between three things. Uh, Either the monk has to choose her, the lady, become her husband, sleep with her, or she brought one goat. So she said, please slaughter this goat for me, for my family, so we will eat together. Uh, so either slaughter the goat or sleep with me or have a glass of wine with me. So I want you to do one of these with me. And the monk think for so long. So he thought, okay, if he sleep with the girl, he's gonna be disrobed. If he kills the goat, then it's going to be the first of the negative action, which is killing, right? So he cannot do both of them. So the only harmless thing is that if you just take a sip of wine, then it's a harmless thing. It's harmless. It doesn't harm anybody. So then he took one sip of the wine and he liked the taste and he just without thinking much he kept drinking more. So basically he finished the bottle of wine and then he slaughtered the goat and slept with the girl. So basically if he had chose, let's say, sleeping with the girl, he might not have drunk or he might not have uh, uh, slaughtered the goat, but because he chose wine and his mind got totally clouded and his decision making skills were totally uh, weakened, so then he did all the things that he is not supposed to do just by drinking one sip of wine. So that's the intoxicants. Uh, then the last line is take delight in virtuous livelihood. So basically, uh, so we talk about the 10 virtuous deeds last week. Mm, 10 virtuous deeds are basically the abstinence from the 10 negative deeds, right? And so by keeping that in mind, just by keeping that in mind doesn't help, right? You have to put it into action. How do you put it into action? Within your livelihood, you must put these 10 things into action, not killing, not lying, not gossiping, this and that. So all these things should be kept in your mind. So try to so basically what we usually call honest livelihood. So this is something one should be doing. So it makes more sense, especially when you think about to whom this letter is written to. So you're writing to the king. So as a king, you are the most powerful man in the land. So for that, and if you are not content, if you are not content, uh, you may take anybody's property, anybody's wife, anybody's husband, anybody's girl, daughter, any property, any gold, anything that you have your interest in, you can actually take it because you are the king and you have the absolute power. So therefore, it is reminding the king that you must, keep this thing in mind, keep the 10 virtuous deed in mind, and make your livelihood a virtuous livelihood. As a king, of course, you have everything, and then you should and you should feel content. You should not steal other people's property. which happens a lot with kings in the old time, because king has absolute power and they have to answer to no one, so they can do whatever they like. But it's important to think of these things. So Nagarjuna, as a friend, he's advising his friend King Gautamaputra to make an honest livelihood. Even as a king, don't do anything you like, just don't do it just because you feel like doing so. Keep the keep people in your mind. Voilà, so now verse number 6. Okay, I will read the Tibetan first, then go to English. Longje yowa ningbo mekene gelong tamse de shenam la jimba tsujin zegi paru to jinle shimbe nyencho machi sos. Knowing that wealth is unstable and devoid of essence, rightly offer gifts upon monks, Brahmins, the poor, and friends. As for the next life, there is no more an excellent kinsman than giving. So, the first verse is that knowing that wealth has no essence. So, of course, the bottom line here is that wealth is a means, it's not an end. So, most of us, what we do is we try to gain wealth, money, all these things. So money, wealth, property, position, all these things. We think of that as an end. So we run after this, no matter what we get. We are never content, and we keep running after them over and one after another, like that. So we think of wealth, money, fame, position, all these things as an end, as a goal, as a purpose. So in which case it is wrong, because money, fame, position, all these things are a means. It's a method. It's a channel. It's something to use. With money you can buy food. With money you can build house. House is not the goal here. With a house you can sleep there. Sleeping is also not the goal there, right? After you get a good night's sleep, you wake up and you have all the energy. Having energy is also not the end goal here. With energy, you can walk. Walking is not the end goal here, right? By working in your company, you make money. But if you just make money for your company, you're just being a slave. You're just given a nice tag called employee, but you are actually being enslaved by the company. So you have to work for a company, but that is not the end goal. That is not the main purpose. But by making the money, you run the house, and then you also live for yourself. But living for yourself is also not the end here. If you don't think for other persons, just think for yourself, you are being a very selfish person. You are being petty, right? So the list goes like that. So in this regard, wealth is ephemeral. The wealth is essenceless. The wealth has no essence. That is the meaning of the first line. Yeah. So that's the first line. So wealth is very important. Money is important. Money, that's what, money is very, very, very important. One of the top, right? That's why everything runs on money. If you have the money, everything, seems to work for you. But it is not everything. If money is everything, then those who have more money has less problem. Those who have less money should have more problem. But that is not always the case, right? The thing is, you should be able to utilize money for your own good. If you just run after money, and never content with that, then you become enslaved. You become addicted to money, right? It's similar to a cell phone, right? Today's time, cell phone is very useful. In olden times, we need to have a radio player or a cassette player to listen to music, TV to watch TV, flashlight, right? Then alarm to wake us up. All these things. If you put everything that we used to have in, that we require in our livelihood, it will fill up one big suitcase in the past. But now everything is a cell phone. Cell phone can wake you up as an alarm, make phone call, take camera, take videos, do video conferencing, everything. But then what happened is most of us are enslaved by our cell phone, become slave to it. Instead of utilizing the cell phone is using us, right? The same happens with money, with wealth. So those who are wise, those who are smart with money, use the money to make more money, uh, basically make the money work for them. But most of us work for the money because we don't know the money culture, right? The wealth culture. So that's why. So the main point here is to find the essenceless, to find the insubstantiality of money. That money has no essence or substantial on its own, but by using money as a means, you can achieve so many other things. If you realize that, then you become the master of the money. Otherwise, money become your master, and if you become, if money becomes your master, you become its slave, and then for the entirety of your life, you are being slaved. You walk without any reward for money, and that's it. That's the end of your life. Yeah, without doing anything. So when you run after money, you become its slave because you are dependent on that. So it's like a drug addict. So drug addict always depend on drugs, right? So when they do not get their shot, then they start to shake and all this. Then, so basically all this the issues, right, that comes up. Like that, you're running after money all the time, never content, and never utilizing the money for its proper, never utilizing it the proper way, but just running after them, you become enslaved by them. But the money that you have, the wealth that you have, when you start utilizing them, when you start using them, by giving them, by sharing them, then that money, that wealth becomes the most meaningful, most useful one. Because when you give money, people depend upon you. When you run after money, you are dependent on the money, on the wealth, right? Of course, we need money to live and all these things. But then after a certain point, we must start to learn how to share what we have with people who have less than us. So by sharing, as I said, when you share, people depend on you. When you run after money, you depend on them, your employer, your business partner, whatever you may call it. When you, of course, you need to depend on them to a certain extent, but beyond that extent, beyond that limit, if you keep running after just money, then you are becoming too dependent on it. But when you share it with them, others become dependent on you. See? So now you become liberalized in that sense. So in a way, sharing is liberating. Okay, so this is an outlook that Nagarjuna is sharing with the king, that the giving, generosity is liberalizing, is liberating. By sharing, you become free from being dependent on the thing that you just become crazy mad about. Yeah, like that. So he tells us to share it with four types of people. So Nagarjuna tells us to share it or four ways. The what we usually call make offerings, two types of offering, and then two types of giving. So the two types of offering is offering to the monks, the bhikshus, the fully ordained monks, as well as the Brahmins, the priests, the Hindu priests. So because Hinduism is already prevalent by Nagarjuna's time, and then also Nagarjuna, because the kingdom has both Hindu and Buddhist. So Nagarjuna is saying, you have to take care of both uh, object of veneration, which is the Buddhist monks, which are object of veneration, respected venerables, as well as the Hindu priests, which are also part of the clergy. So they should also be respected. Right? So these two should be made. Must make offering to the bhikshus as well as the Brahmins. And then you must share it with the poor and your friends. Buddhist monks and the Brahmins, And then the poor, of course. The poor has the poor means anyone who has less than you is considered poor here in this regard. So when you must share it with them, and then of course you must share it with your friends. So here the term used in the Tibetan is nyen. The word is nyen, so which is a friend of a mentorial kind of friend. So as a friend, there's a saying in English like uh, a, f- a friend in need is a friend indeed, right? So basically, friend is someone who actually is helpful to you, right? So you may think that you are being selfish by having a friend, only befriending someone who can help you back, but a true friend is someone who will help you when you are in need. So if a person, if someone you deem, someone you regard as a friend, is not help, not does not help you when you are in need of help, then that is not a true friend, right? That is a fact. So the term here, even though the word friend is used here, this kind of the friend here means it is actually referring to a very special kind of friend, a friend that will actually do anything for you, that kind of friend. So the money should be shared with that kind of friend. So to the Brahmins, to the bhikshus, to the poor, and a friend that will do the same thing for you. So that kind of friend. So it's not referring to just any friend here. So I have to make this um, how to say this. I have to emphasize this because in English, the translation is it's very vague. It's vague. It just says friend, because nyen does mean friend, but it means a kind of friend that is almost brotherly, like kind of uh, a friend that you have a brotherly kind of bond with. You remember last time when we talked about letter to a friend, when the name of the book is letter to a friend. So even that friend is just not just a normal kind of friend. It's a friend as in a mentorial friend, as in a friend, as in a brotherly friend. Okay, so that kind of friend he is referring to. So when he says share it with your friends, Nagarjuna is not saying you just share it with any friends of yours. He's saying that share it with friends that will also do the same for you. Basically, he is telling the king to be smart. So share it with basically king's friends are king's allies. So help your allies. He's also telling you that. So in a way, this advisorial book is, even though this is not a fully political sort of advice, but because the target audience is a king which deals with politics, so it does have some political inclinations too. Basically, very Nagarjuna is very smartly advising the king, don't help any friend just because they ask for help. Just don't help any friend. Help a friend that can help you back, will help you back. But this is also not something cunning or bad in the sense that if the friend is really in need of something, like is really in trouble, you have to help them. Because if you remember the four types of people to help, the first one is Brahmin, the bhikshu. The second one is Brahmin. The third one is those poor. And poor people does not necessarily mean beggars or homeless people. Anyone who is downtrodden and someone who has less than you, who has suffering, that also counts. So basically, if a friend is in need, you can help them, right? But when he said help your friends, right? Help the beggars, help the poor, and the friends. So by friend here, he means only friends that can help you back. So if you're not getting, if those friends cannot help you back, then just by regarding them as a friend and sharing, lending your money, your wealth to just anybody will actually make your treasury empty. So because you should be smart about your how to manage money. So this is also like a management kind of a lecture as well. So basically telling the king to lend your money to those who can give it back to you. And also, even though it's not explained that way, but usually it's not explained that way, but because this is a book especially related to management, especially related to a king, telling him how to manage the kingdom, etc. So therefore, you should read it in a little bit of a you should read it with a secular mindset, not necessarily a spiritual mindset. Of course, there are many spiritual essence there, but you should read it in a secular way. So he's also telling the king, okay, very smartly advising the king that by making offering to the Brahmins and the bhikshus, which are the venerables, you will win the heart of the people. Because when you have usually the clergy are the elites. When you win the heart of when you cater to the clergy, you win the heart of the people. And then when you help the poor people, which are the masses, the majority of the people are poor. By helping the poor people, you will win the heart of the masses, the majority of the people. And by helping your friends, which are basically your allies, you will have supporters. When you are attacked by other kingdoms, those allies will help you back. So therefore, it's also a very strategic advice for the king as well. Oh yeah, no. That is the okay. As for the next life, there is no more excellent a kinsman than giving. So basically, by generosity, of course, you will in this lifetime you will gain support from the people by by offering to the to the clergy, and by sharing your wealth with the poor and with your allies, you will gain support in this lifetime. And by you are doing this charity thing, but if you do it with the pure intention, sincerity, do it right, but with pure intention, right? So he's saying, even if you have a pure intention, but if you do it improperly, then you will not be able to reap the benefits. So do it properly, but with a pure intention. By doing so, you will accumulate great amount of merit, which will help you in the next life. So by engaging in generosity, by engaging in giving, sharing, that will accumulate huge amount of huge amount of merit for you to enjoy plentiful life in your upcoming lives, in your next lives. Oh yeah. Now next line. Next line. 교계 수집 마냥 묘미만 제마 바바트다 때버주 침례 교단미 교사시도 연대 군지 시대한 라버 songs. Now you have basically this is going towards the 10 perfections, right? The giving, morality, etc., etc. So we just covered generosity, which is giving, right? That out of the 10 perfections, sorry, the 6 perfections. Sometimes we call it 10 perfection too. But basically there are 6 perfections, right? The 6 perfections, the first one is generosity. Now the second one is, so basically, even though he's not naming it such a way, but Nagarjuna is leading the king into the 6 perfections. Basically, 6 perfections is the way of living for a bodhisattva. So this is how a bodhisattva functions. Bodhisattvas function through the methodology of the 6 perfections, right? So the second one is morality, or ethical living. So telling Nagarjuna is reminding the king that generosity and all these things important, and then one should live one's life based on morality. So ethical living is of utmost essence, and so the generosity that one shares with people should also be based on morality, moral ethics. Yeah. Let me read it. You should practice morality which is unimpaired, blameless, not mixed and unsullied. For morality is said to be foundation of all virtues, just as the earth is for the support of both the moving and the unmoving. Yeah. So, first of all, moving and unmoving means the world and its inhabitants. The world, the natural world, is called unmoving because the mountain, the trees, the river, everything remains wherever it is. So therefore, it's called the unmoving. And then the sentient beings in there, like the animals, human beings, all these things move from one part to another part. So they're called the moving. So therefore, moving and unmoving is a term used in the um, what do you call that? In the Buddhist jargon, in the Buddhist terminology, to refer to the world and its inhabitants. So basically, it is saying that morality is the foundation of all virtues, just like the earth, the ground, is the support or the foundation for all the world and the inhabitants within the world. You might think that, okay, when I said moving and unmoving, like rivers and trees, they move all the time. Tree leaves move, and the river is always moving, right? Here, by moving and moving, it's a terminology used for creatures and the inhabitants and the world, in the sense that the inhabitants within the world move with desire, because we want to get food, we want to move from a cold to a warm place, from a hot place to a cool place. So creatures move because they desire for something better. Water does move, and trees move. When trees move through external factors, such as because there's a wind, the trees move, and the river move through the course of the channel, right, etc. like that. So here, when it says moving and unmoving, we are talking about moving and not moving intentionally, with purpose, with desire. So the morality should be kept. So morality here, so morality, ethics, and discipline, so they are kind of interchangeable in these terms. So therefore, you're talking about moral discipline, moral ethical discipline, moral ethical living, moral discipline, etc. like that. So he's saying that it should be unimpaired, it should be blameless, it should not be mixed, and it should not be sullied. Right? So what does these four things mean? So basically, unimpaired here refers to not breaking the commitments or the precepts. So as a monk, you can talk about more the monastic vows. As a non-monastic, as a lay person, as a lay Buddhist, you can refer to lay vows. Or if the king, let's say, because this was a lot of time, teachers, masters talk about this as refer to this as a, monastic vow, this and that. But you have to actually bring in recall that Gautamaputra is not a monk, so therefore it has nothing to do with monastic vows here. I mean, you can take the lessons from this, but it's not necessarily telling, because this is written directly to King Gautamaputra, so it's not referring to monastic vows per se. Anyway, so the king has made a lot of promises, right, to uphold the rule of the law and the esteem of the country, etc., kingdom, etc. So therefore, the promises that he made to his foreseers, the promises that he made to his people, all these things. So these should not be broken. Okay, if you are, as I said earlier, so you can take that as a advice for a monk and say, okay, once as a monk, we should not break your vows, this and that. But specifically, this advice is for King Gautamaputra, and it's telling him that any promises that you have made to the people should not be broken. Okay, that is the meaning for the first one, unimpaired and blameless. It means it should not only be it should not only be not broken, but it should not seem to be broken as well. Okay, and there's a saying especially in politics, it's not enough to do something for people. It is important to let people see that you are doing something for them. Otherwise, you will not get the votes. So, as a king, it is important for him not to do the right thing, but to show to people that he is doing the right thing. So he should not be blamed. So he should not break his promises. He should not only not break his promises, but he should also be blameless, free from blames. Once people start blaming him for breaking his promises, then people start losing faith in him, then people start revolting, etc. So therefore, yeah, so in this regard, that, yeah, so not breaking his promises, keeping his promises, and then making people see that he's keeping his promises, also important. So then the next two line is not mixed and not sullied, not dirty, stained. So not mixed is that your intention should not be mixed, meaning when you are mixed here means mix means two different things put together is mix, right? So when you are doing something good and then thinking something bad, that's called a mix. If you are thinking good and doing good, it's not a mix. So here, mix means, you are supposedly engaging in generosity and doing, something that is morally sound, morally good. But if you do it with an ulterior motive, with the intention impure, your thoughts are negative, then it becomes mixed because what you are doing and what you are thinking is different. Doing is good, thinking is bad. So it's become a mix. So don't mix them. So he's saying do it with pure intention. Okay. So the intention here, like that. And then the last word is sullied, which means tainted or become dirty. So we do it with a pure intention and don't do it with with the pure intention. If you do it with the pure intention, then you do it without. If you engage in generosity in order to gain back the money that you have already given, then it's called an investment. It's not a generosity. It's not charity. So therefore, it becomes, even though you are propagating it as a charity, it's not pure charity. It's actually it's investment, right? You give something to get something more. Basically, you are doing a transaction. So when you engage in charity, when you engage in moral ethics, you should do it in a way that it just prolongs the engagement of the moral ethics, generosity itself, and nothing else, with no ulterior motive and no ulterior intention, no negative thought, just to help someone engage in charity for the purpose of engaging in charity, just that alone, like that.
Yeah.
So basically, to summarize, he's telling the king to work for the people, to share what you have plenty with the people who do not have as much as you do. You share it with them because it's your duty as a king to help them. But when you are helping and don't do the help. I mean, don't engage in helping people just because you will become you will be renowned for being a great king, or you will gain more wealth by sharing your wealth. If you, even though it is true that by sharing your wealth, you will accumulate great merit and you will get more wealth in future, but don't do it because of that. Do it with a pure intention. Do it with the intention to prolong your act of generosity so that you can accumulate great amount of merit in order to benefit so many other sentient beings. But at the same time, utilize, Nagarjuna is always being very pragmatic. It's a very pragmatic advice here. If you remember the blameless thing, blameless, meaning when you do good for people, also let people know that you are doing the good thing. Because, also, even though you're doing it for a good purpose, but also get credit for it. Don't shy away from the credits. So there's a saying that, I mean, you don't have to hunt for credits, but when people shower you with praise and give you credit, always accept the credit because you did a good job. And by getting the credits, by letting people shower you with the praises, more people will support you, and then you can prolong this act of generosity, act of virtue for further. We'll be able to help more people that way. Okay, so now we have reached a point where you can ask questions now if you have any questions. I will, while we wait for the questions, I will read one more verse, and then wrap it up if there's no more questions. Yeah. So there's verse number 8. 진당 추점 수준 3년 대신 시럽 시면 파류친 대다 견제 10의 겸소이 파류친 바 계획 왕보 주스. So basically that is the six parameters, six perfections. So this is okay. So here the translator is saying that this is a counsel to practice the sixth perfection of the Mahayana. So Mahayana practice is for those with the those who have a courageous heart, those who are willing to do more for people. Yeah. So as a king, you have all the material, you have the means to do for a lot of people. As a you have the means to do for people more than any other ordinary beings. So therefore, as a king, if you have a big heart, then you have a big opportunity to help people, to serve the sentient beings. So therefore, it's important as a king to abide in the ways of the Bodhisattva or the ways of the Mahayana practitioners, known as the six perfections. Increase the measureless perfections of giving, morality, patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom, the sixth perfection, right? And thus become the Lord of Conquerors who has reached the further shore of the ocean of existence. Yeah. Voilà ça. So the increase the measureless perfections. So measureless perfection means okay. Increase means to basically increase here refers to develop. Okay, develop the measureless perfections, meaning measureless here. So the reason it's called measureless here is because the six perfections were practiced upon the sentient beings. Okay, sentient beings. And the number of sentient beings is countless. So therefore, the perfections or the practice itself becomes limitless. And so therefore, it's called measureless. So you cannot increase something that is measureless in general, right? So, but what here is saying is increase the practice, which is based on the measureless sentient beings or innumerable, infinite number of sentient beings. So therefore, develop your practice of six perfections based upon the sentient beings, the immeasurable or infinite number of sentient beings. So develop that. That is the first line. Increase means develop. Measureless means infinite here. Okay, that's the verse number 1. Sorry, the first line, right? The perfection of giving, morality, patience, effort, concentration. Yeah. So giving and morality we already checked. Generosity we checked, and then morality already gone. Now remains patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom. 4 more. So patience. Okay, so now patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom. So patience is the ability to endure hardship. Difficulty. Sorry, the ability to endure difficulty. That is patience. So there are different types of difficulties, like if you, for example, you have to deal with when you have to deal with anger. You have to deal with anger. You have to deal with people discriminating you, this and that. That is a type of difficulty, right? And then there are types of difficulties such as enduring hardship for the sake of Dharma. And then also there are difficulties such as having to endure listening to Dharma teachings that does not bode with your understanding. That does not basically, we're talking about emptiness here. So during Nagarjuna's time, there are a lot of people who do not accept the ideology of emptiness, which is the ultimate truth according to the Madhyamikas. So ability to bear the teachings of Buddha spoken about the ultimate truth of emptiness, that is also a patience. So there that is also a patience. So patience not necessarily means like patience from anger, this and that. So patience from anger, patience from difficulty, enduring difficulty to listen to Dharma, patience to accepting the truth of inherent existence, truth of non-existence of the truth of negation of inherent existence, basically emptiness. So these are different types of patiences. Yeah. Okay, that's patience and effort. Even though here the term is the term that is used is just a mere effort, but here we are talking about effort into something positive or virtuous action. Any effort, any effort that you put into to performing virtuous actions, accumulating merit. So basically, something that is aligned towards virtuous actions or virtuous deed, that is called an effort, a perfection of effort. So any effort that is put forward to accumulate virtue is called a perfection of effort. So it's not just any ordinary effort here. Then meditation. Meditation is basically single-pointed concentration. Basically, meditation is about consolidating your mind. Our mind has so many different fractions, different thoughts: positive thought, negative thought, doubt, suspicion, hateful thought, hateful ideas, then lustful thoughts. So many. It's just dispersed in so many ways. It's basically like fragmented it into hundreds of millions of tiny thoughts within mind. So meditation is basically to consolidate all of this thing into one single single thing. There's a saying, there's a line from Lama Tsongkhapa Rinpoche said that Shana Yome Ri Wangboshin Tana Kiwe Mikpa Kulanjuk. So basically, when you place the mind, it is like a majestic mountain. It stays like that, right? And when you release it, it becomes like a water and then covers all corners of the earth. So when you solidify it, it becomes hard. It hardens like a mountain, basically immovable. And then when you let it loose, it can also go to. It can also be, basically the ability to fragment and unfragment the mind, the mind as one. Even though we identify mind as one, but mind is not just one. There are so many fragments within the mind. Our mind has been fragmented too many times. So meditation is basically solidifying what has been fragmented. In other words, unfragmenting the mind. That is what meditation is. The meditation is the training of unfragmenting the mind. So that is meditation. Yeah, usually what we call single-pointedness or concentration, concentrative abilities. Oh yeah. Then the wisdom. So wisdom is the penetrative insight. So basically, it is the ability to see things as it is. Uh, so there are, when we look at things, when we observe things, we see something. We whatever that we see, whatever that we feel, is what appears to us. And a lot of times we don't go beyond the obvious. We don't go beyond the obvious. What we see, we just take it as everything at fast face value, and then go along with that. And then later we know what it is not. right? Wisdom is to go beyond the facade, the cover up. So remove all the cover up, remove all the foliage, and then see things for what it is. That is the wisdom. And so there are different types of wisdom. Wisdom for recognizing mm, emptiness, impermanence, like that, etc. So that is wisdom, and wisdom can be obtained only through meditation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, the perfection of wisdom can be obtained only through perfecting meditative practices. Yeah. So by doing so, you can become the Lord of the Conquerors, which is a reference to the Buddhas, and you can reach the shore. You can reach the shore from the ocean of existence, the other side of the on the other side or the other shore of the ocean of existence. Here means samsara, and Lord of Conquerors is a reference to the Buddha, and it's also a word play, play of words, in the sense that because he's writing to the king, who is the conqueror or the ruler of the land, and the Buddhas are usually also referred to as the conquerors. So he is saying, when he said Lord of Conquerors, he's referring to the Buddha as the Lord of all conquerors, and the king being a conqueror as well. So if you want to become the king of the king, which is basically to become the Buddha, then you have to practice the six perfections. And by doing so, you'll be able to cross the ocean of samsara. Yeah. So I conclude here, and then I think we have two questions. The first one is, why do we want money? Question. So why do we want money? I think it's a very good question, and of course, as I said earlier, we need money to buy things because, okay, as a human being, we have hunger, we need clothes, all these things. Basically, all human necessities can be procured by money, right? With the use of money. So, of course, that's why we want money. That's the. As I said earlier, money is a means here. You cannot eat money, but you can buy food to eat money. Eat. You can use money to buy food that you can eat. You cannot wear money, but you can you can buy clothes with the money too. So basically, you see the money is always a means. Utilize it to get something that you want. Uh, so as long as you see it that way, your mind is sane, your mind is sound, you have no problem. But the moment you start seeing money as an end, getting money for the sake of getting money, then you are in trouble. You start getting in trouble. So, second question is regarding monetary donations, making offerings. There are people who donate money until they deplete, exhaust all their assets, causing their family members to fall into poverty. Uh, is this understanding of the practice of giving or donation correct? That is the question. So my answer to this is a little bit taking to the extreme. One should give only to a certain extent. To one should give to a point that one does not feel uh, regret. Okay, once you start regretting what you are sharing, then it is no longer generosity. It's no longer giving. It's no longer giving in the sense of spiritual practice. Once you start regretting, so basically you give something that you can, something that you are capable of giving. Okay. When I say that, it makes a lot of sense. When I say you give only things that you are capable of giving. Uh, what you are incapable of giving, if you impart that from your lifestyle, from your livelihood, then you will regret later, and then uh, the it will backfire. There will be no benefit because instead there will be negative consequences because when you regret something bad, it's a good thing. When you regret something good, it's a bad thing. So regretting a virtuous action is non-virtuous thought. Regretting a non-virtuous action is a virtuous thought. Okay, so therefore, some yeah, don't fall into extremities. Give something that you are comfortable in giving. By doing so, you can give for a very long time, and then basically, you know, continue to give. Sustainable giving is important. It's important, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially you don't want to jeopardize the livelihood of your family for the sake of of making offering and this and that. By making offerings to a monastery, which is, of course, monasteries and temples and all these things rely on charity, but you're not the only donor. There are many others who also contribute to the monastery, to the temple, to the monks, right? So you're not the only one. So, but you are the only person responsible for taking care of this family. Okay. So therefore, there are many people taking care of the temple, but there's only one person taking care of your family. So therefore, your family is more important in this case. So you always have to weigh the pros and the cons. Yeah. Okay, I think nowadays many people want to begin organ donor, but modern medicine doesn't regard the natural process of the mind in a closed state moment. And if the donor raises a regret in a single moment in the operation room, will all their merit be broken? Okay, so this question is about because I said regret will cancel out the positive side thing. So he would say the question is that when we do organ donations, organ donors, um, if the organ donor regrets at the time of the death, I think that is what he's referring to, or during the operation time, if the person regrets sharing, giving one's organ, will it cancel out the merit? So it depends on, it depends on how much of the intensity of the regretfulness. So if you like totally regret, okay, you decide to share your organ with someone, give your organ to someone, and then you get to the operation theater, and then you see the knife, the scalpel, is it called? Yeah. So the knife and everything, and then you get scared, and then you have like doubting yourself, and maybe you don't want to give. It's just a very natural kind of doubt that is normal. If you feel like, oh, I should not give, if you feel regret in the sense of very strong regret that, okay, I don't want to give it to him, you know, but I have been now anesthetized, so I cannot get up and say anything. But if I have the choice to, if I have the choice to reject, I will reject forcefully. But I cannot because I've been anesthetized. So if you have a very strong regret, of course that merit will be canceled out. But if it's like it's very natural when you see the scalpel and the operation theater and these things, it's very natural to feel scared of taking, you're not necessarily regretting the fact that you are giving your organ to someone else. You just feel scared. A lot of people get scared uh, when they see blood, when they see knife. So that's very normal. So if you're talking about a very natural reactionary kind of regret, or maybe a sort of a resentment, that is okay. But it's a very strong regret, then it does cancel out the what do you call, the spiritual merit of giving organ to someone else. Yeah, it does. Sorry. So yeah, okay. I will. Yeah. So basically, regret and resentment is two different things, right?
Yeah.
That is the key thing here. And now I will conclude here, and then we
Yeah.
will do the dedication. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regret is, oh, I should not have done it. Why am I doing this? I don't want to do it. Resentment is, what's going to happen now? If they cut my body, what's going to happen? So it's two different things. Yeah. Dedication, please. Kewa diye nyurdo da lama zange ndrogyura nendrowa jenya malum bangege sa gobara jo chanjo zemjo rembo jema ye banama ge gyuru keba nyamba mebara yang kone kondo be wara sho mi menze Vedere cene cene resik Jime gembe Wine jambe yang De bo next slide please. De bo my de chomoen ze sang we da. One more next. Kan je kembe zo gen zong kai ba lon san tai be shai lai so one day lives on time, shy lies so one day. Then banning bonds and ban bang ashing namang do you can la changju back love song chuggy comes to Tengi Jordan Tambor so what the
Thank you, Zibuchela.
come on,
Thank you very
Joanne.
much, Rinpoche.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Hong, and thank you everyone. Thank
Hey,
you.
xin
Thank you. A great weekend.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you so much.
Cảm ơn anh Hiền.
Vâng,
Thank you Rinpoche.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Zibuchela. Cảm ơn
Thank
Hưng.
you, Miss Mang.
Vâng.
Thank you, Rinpoche.